Hey guys, Caleb here, back again with more bad fanfiction theater, and we have guests.
Hello.
Hey, again.
These are the most uninteresting, hey guys, we're here on the show ever.
I heard someone just clap once, or maybe they dropped a book or something. I didn't know what that was, so I was being quiet.
We have Levi, Harlequin, and Ushcho with us.
Hi!
Yay! Today we are reading First Encounter by Laris Malachi, a Harry Potter fanfic featuring Hogwarts itself and the giant squid.
Oh god.
So I hope this is hilarious in comparison to all the shit we have read since the start of this year. So we are reading First Encounter by Laris Malachi on fanfiction.net. If you want to follow along, there will be a link down in the description below. Let's go. Disclaimer! The characters within the story solely belong to J.K. Rowling and Warner Brothers. I'm not getting away with that, am I?
No.
Okay. Author's note. Unbaited. One shot. I'm done. Next.
Hogwarts sighed, and it echoed within his empty halls. The students had all left for the summer, and he felt empty and useless. Hagrid was often around, but he was usually too focused on bizarre animals to fill the need of Hogwarts. Professors would pop in occasionally, but being a magic school, Hogwarts didn't need much upkeeping. The little he did need was taken care of by Fletch.
He shuddered, causing small trembles throughout his halls that was barely discernible except by the spiders and owls. He didn't care much for Felch, wishing he could walk without his squib feet touching his magnificent stone floors. He had long since stopped trying to force his floors open to swallow Felch and Mistress Norris whole. Besides, if he kept it up, he would be risking a prolapsed staircase, and that was no laughing matter.
It's a whole new meaning to the
What
term.
the hell is this?
So, okay, so the school is sentient, and it doesn't like filter Miss Doris, so it is, well, maybe not racist exactly, but,
Speciesist?
Housist?
pure, magic purist-ist, I guess.
Or magic supremacist.
Yeah, that works.
But the best term I'd throw at it is bigoted.
You know, when I say I love cephalopods, I don't really mean it in the same way that apparently Hogwarts does.
Well, it is lonely. So is that one Japanese lady, but, that was from times past.
Wait, what, just the one?
You love my cephalopods.
Awkward!
The giant squid saw how miserable Hogwarts was. It was true that he also missed the students, but for an entirely different reason. He missed their terrified screams as he revealed himself,
Oh my!
rising from the murky depths of the lake.
His huge eyes stared mournfully at his very large tentacles. At one time, he had dreams of being an actor.
What?
For a giant squid in a lake acting, because I'm sure the magic world can use actors. The larger he grew, the fewer agents and scouts would come calling, until they finally stopped altogether. There wasn't much in the market for a squid that would split in a schoolgirl from stem to stem.
Ugh!
Oh, split a schoolgirl from stem to stem.
I think that's supposed to be stem to stern, but yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
yes.
stem to stern.
I'm fatigued, so the writing's gonna look especially weird to me.
He stared at his tentacles as they moved gently in the current. Schoolgirls were out. A plan formed in his mind, and he swam to the surface, hesitating momentarily before pulling himself from the water. It ran off his rubbery skin in rivulets as he made his way across the grounds. No humans were around to witness the incredible trek, and no humans would believe his eyes had he been a witness. Oh, epic, scary.
Yeah. Hogwarts watched the giant squid approach and felt apprehension well up in his kitchen. "What are you doing?" The words weren't spoken, but they were understood.
Why? By, psychic powers?
I want to say in the future I'm feeling apprehension well up in my kitchen. That's like, I don't know, that just sounds so perfect in some ways, She's got an apprehension up in her kitchen, Girl, you've got an apprehension up in your kitchen. You need to loosen up.
Yeah, loosen up by laying back and letting a guy do all the work on your plumbing.
Just trust me, the giant squid replied, caressing Hogwarts' outer walls.
I'm not ready, Hogwarts exclaimed, trying to push the giant squid away with his magic.
So the school is a sorcerer.
I don't remember what the title of the book was, but there was actually a sentient house that would trap children to keep itself alive. It's a little more complicated than it being just a house, but yeah. And then, of course, there's Rose Red.
Honestly, I think that Hogwarts being sentient is probably the least of our concerns with this story.
Yeah. We are about to witness a giant octopus being basically an architectophile.
You will believe a giant squid can fuck.
Technically it could, but...
Well, yeah, but... No.
Not in the way that you're probably thinking it. Hogwarts, you're lonely. I'm lonely. You don't have to be. Besides, you can't go around manipulating your staircases. Oh my god.
Wow, the sexual innuendo with things that aren't really sexy.
You know about that!
Everyone does it, sort of.
That's besides the point. The temperature within rose in embarrassment.
I'll go slow. I promise. He began to caress a window, teasing it open. Hogwarts sighed. The fight leaving. He relaxed, allowing the tentacle in sight. That is disgusting. Where it brushed against the inner walls before settling on the stone floor. He fastened the suction cups to the floor, lifting the tentacle away so that it pulled on the floor without losing its grip. Oh, this is disturbing.
Oh, you think that's disturbing? I gotta read this. Another sigh swept through the halls of Hogwarts. "Oh, Merlin, this feels so good." His rapture turned to fright as he felt a tentacle work its way into a second window. "I don't..."
Trust me, it'll feel good. Remember this? He pulled the suction cups a little harder, and Hogwarts groaned.
Do that again. The giant squid complied. As he did so, thrust his second tentacle in. Hogwarts shuddered, coming very close to ending the fun. Because the house can literally come? I don't know why I keep calling it a house when it's a school, but yes. The giant squid backed off, unwilling to finish so soon. He waited for Hogwarts to calm down before sending the second tentacle to search the room. He felt the need to fill Hogwarts as much as possible, and he raised another tentacle, caressing his outer walls, running along windowsills and tracing individual bricks. So caught up in the bliss, Hogwarts didn't notice the giant squid slip in a third and fourth tentacle.
This is incredible. Hogwarts breathed.
Okay, I gotta say this. I just pictured the house elves running around in panic with their arms in the air, screaming.
The people who still happen to be maybe around Hogwarts are just like, what the fuck is a tentacle doing in the school window?
What the fuck is happening?
This isn't even the best part. He held up his 2 longest tentacles. These can reach further than a room. They can go into your hallways.
I want them in me.
Are you sure? They're quite large. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Know what I'm saying?
You have some apprehension in your kitchen, honey.
Okay, what part are we on?
Apprehension.
rolled through his kitchen.
In response,
Apprehension rolled through his kitchen again. While he was deciding, the giant squid forced another tentacle in. You have 3 tentacles left to decide.
what happens if I don't?
You die.
You chose poorly, Mr. Bond.
Bow down before me.
You will bow down.
In response, the giant squid slid a 6th into another window. 2, he said simply and with a hint of warning. So fucking confusingly written.
Hogwarts could take them all. He knew he could. But what would the other wizarding schools think? You're in contact with them? Would batons allow a giant squid to violate her? Certainly not. If Drumstrang ever found out, there'd be no end of teasing.
The giant squid grew impatient and slid a 7th tentacle into a window, followed immediately by an 8th. 2, 1, time's up. You didn't decide. This is giving me the mental image of the Kraken attacking ships in Pirates of the Caribbean.
Wait, but that's not fair.
It's a simple answer, yes or no, and I'll have to punish you. And with that, he struck Hogwarts square on the outer wall with a paddle-like tentacle. Hogwarts yelped and tried to squirm away, but the tentacles in his foundation held firm. Giant Squid struck him with the other. Again and again he spanked the naughty wizarding school until he sought for the giant squid to stop. And still he spanked.
Well, this went to non-con really fast. The giant squid finally stopped, but Hogwarts didn't have time for a reprieve before the giant squid forced his extra-long, spanking tentacles into 2 separate windows. They slid through the room and forced the doors open, the pain only adding to Hogwarts' pleasure. The tentacles were in the halls now, massaging the long stone tunnels.
That was incredible, the giant squid thought. He really should have done this ages ago. Every tentacle was in a different window. No schoolgirl, no matter how many movies she made, could hold all tentacles.
Wait, what? No matter how many... So wait, he's talking about schoolgirls doing porno movies?
Maybe
know.
the squid wanted to do squid porn.
But this is a giant squid fucking a school, so you would imagine that he would have to have like a house-sized schoolgirl. What kind of fantasies is he having?
Yeah, he'd basically have to have a giantess to reenact that one painting I was talking about earlier.
Each one moved differently and with a different pace, driving Hogwarts crazy with the inability to match his speed.
He felt that familiar feeling and doubled his efforts. Ink exploded all over Hogwarts.
Ink is not an ejaculate.
No. I mean, it can be ejected, but it's not the same thing.
It's not ejected for pleasure.
Which is why I said it's not exactly the same thing.
Ink exploded all over Hogwarts, finding its way into the windows. He unified his tentacles somewhat, completely focused on Hogwarts. He must be close.
You know, one point about that painting that you keep mentioning, the Shunga from the, erotic painting, from, it's, if you notice, it's actually a consensual
Mm-hmm.
sex piece, which I always thought was really kind of neat. It's not like a tentacle rape like some people, have interpreted, especially since, in the modern age, it's always casually tossed out, oh, tentacle rape, Japan. But yeah, that's something I always thought was interesting to point out, because it was pointed out to me and I hadn't noticed it either. But if you look at it, it's clear that it's a choice. And then it happened. Oh my God. What a shot out of faucets. Toilets overflowed, and bread set in ovens to keep warm by thoughtful house elves exploded. This is so vaguely written, I'm not sure if the house elves exploded, the bread exploded, or the ovens exploded.
I think it all exploded.
It probably did. And toilets overflowing is really, really gross. Like, I would not want this. Like, this could only be some sort of hell for the people left in Hogwarts. They're like, what the fuck is going on? Oh my God, insanity! Like, everybody there is just like, okay, we quit. Fuck this shit, I'm out.
I'll get my GED at home.
I'm out of here. Fuck this shit. There are other wizarding schools in the world. Hogwarts shook violently to his foundations, rousing Filch from bed. How could Filch sleep? Water is shooting out of the faucets. Toilets are overflowing. Various things may be exploding.
Maybe this happened at night when everybody was in bed?
That would be even more disruptive, though. They'd be in bed and all these things would be like exploding and bursting and overflowing. They're, oh my God, what's going on?
Hey, maybe they took sleeping pills? A mountain of them?
I don't know. Maybe Hogwarts just murdered them all. Who knows? But
That's what I've been secretly trying to do for years. Kill all of you, because I'm actually allied with Voldemort.
Next on our tour of magical haunted houses, Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry.
Well, I mean, it's not like people didn't have a good reason to take their kids out of Hogwarts before, but they certainly do now.
Yeah.
If they were waiting, if they were just like, well, the what was it, like a basilisk or something?
Yeah.
Basilisk.
Yeah, we've got a basilisk that will turn you to stone. We've got this giant fucking monster in the toilet that will kill you. We've got ogres. We've got, an immortal evil magician that will kill you. We've got corrupt teachers that will kill you. We've got wild magical creatures in the forest. They'll kill you. What around fucking Hogwarts won't kill you? It's like fucking Endor. It's like when you watch those Ewoks movies. It's like every damn thing on this planet will try and kill you. The Ewoks are really hardcore because they're the only things that can survive on that planet. Hogwarts is the same thing. It's like, if you survive, you graduate. I am double torn. Don't worry. Oh, wait, I'm dead. Where was I?
Rousing Filch. Or Flitch, or whatever his name.
Thank you. Yes, I'm glad I said where was I, and your answer was rousing Filch. Good. You're spot on. Good. Well done.
Thank you.
Rousing Filch from bed and sending house elves that I guess didn't explode, and Mrs. Norris scrambling for cover. Even Hagrid heard the groan of stone and came running. Really timely there, Hagrid. Thanks for waiting until now.
They searched around the castle and through the castle, but found no sign of intruders. Most perplexing was the sticky ink on one side of the castle. Hagrid peered through the dark toward the lake, but was unable to see the ripples left in the wake of the giant squid.
They know the squid is there! They've said people have seen it. Students have seen it. It loved the screams of terrified students. Hagrid would know the squid is there. Of all people, Hagrid should know there's a giant fucking squid there. Of all people.
The freshmen run after the squid and then run away from the squid chasing them? I'm not mistaken. Some of them actually did that in the books. They're like being chased by the squid on rowboats.
You would imagine that this would not be something they'd be like, oh, there's giant spot of sticky ink on the side of the school.
Are you sure that's
Could it be the giant fucking squid we know all about? I don't know.
The giant squid slipped beneath the waves, wanting to grin. Even though his beak was incapable, he anticipated a very short summer before the professors and students returned. So he had better make the most of it. The end.
Hey.
Fuck you.
So Harlequin, what did you think of this story?
Well, with what Hoshio was saying, kind of popped in my head, this probably would have been a lot more interesting if the squid went after the Whomping Willow.
Sorry.
Levi, what did you think of this story?
The first 3 words that come to my head when I read the first paragraph was, what the fuck? This story... Oh my god. I don't know how to coherently piece this together in a short summary, but I'll do my best. The author was very open-minded about what he was trying to express, but overall this story is just way too weird for my enjoyment. I mean, House and Squid having erotic moments. Not only does that not make sense, but it was just utterly disturbing, and I wouldn't recommend somebody read this unless they're way too bored.
Pushcho?
Well, looking at it and trying to give an intelligent critique and a coherent critique as best I can, I have to say I always admire it when people think outside the box, so to speak, when people do something that's different that everybody else hasn't done. And indeed, this is probably the only thing that I've seen that actually anthropomorphizes the actual school and has something with the squid, who is obviously, sentient and obviously interested in this. But as far as the execution, it's like grammatically and spelling, it's perfectly fine. Although it is vague in a number of parts. Like it would be good if they had, they noted that it was unbeaten, so they might want to go back and have someone read it and revise it. If you like this sort of thing, this is probably great for you. But I'm just sort of like, dick, suck a motherfucking dick. No, I really did not like this story, but it's perfectly well written, and if you like it, more power to you. The only thing that, all shade aside, I would recommend is having a beta reader and going through and making some of the things less vague, because there was some really vague stuff like the bread and the elves and everything else. Like, what was exploding? We don't know. And that wasn't the only thing. So that's really all I'd say. But other than that, it's technically well written. It's just not my thing.
I have loved it. After all the crap we've read recently, I found this genuinely amusing. And, well, yes, it can be vague and a bit questionable in places. In ways, I think the author meant it to be, because I don't think otherwise some of these innuendos would work.
It was a breath of fresh air.
Yeah. I think you could extend the scene a little bit and make it a little longer, but then again, it's a squid fucking a schoolhouse. A sentient schoolhouse.
A castle, really.
Yes. I don't really have a whole lot of expectations for this, and honestly, I thought it was fun, and I'm glad I read it. Could I really recommend it to people? Sure. If you want to read something that's probably considered weird, easily considered weird, hilarious in concept, go right ahead.
The only thing that I really found objectionable about it was that I didn't really think that it was erotic, and I didn't really think it was funny.
Mm-hmm.
And it especially challenged the ability to find it either by its non-consensual elements. Like, I don't mind non-con, but it feels like it would have been better if it had kind of let us know about that.
Yeah.
Because in the synopsis, it's like Hogwarts has contracted a disease called loneliness, and the giant squid is the only cure. But like, that's not what it was like. It was more like the giant squid fucking raped Hogwarts.
Yeah.
Like, if we're gonna have this, you know,
Yeah,
it might actually
Yeah,
be
it
nice
came
to-
on to Hogwarts. Hogwarts was like, I'm not sure about this. And it's like, it's okay, baby. I know what I'm doing. Well, okay, I guess.
It was dubious consent,
Yeah.
really. I mean, it wasn't necessarily non-con, but it was definitely dub-con. So when
Yeah.
you were looking at it, it's kind of like, I would have really appreciated it. Because, like, I don't object to it. I feel like...
Yeah, a warning
kind
would be
of-
nice.
I had expectations for something different.
Yeah, I could understand that.
Or it's like, adding to that, it's like the synopsis is misleading
Hmm.
to
Yeah.
what the story's about.
I mean, at the same time, it tells you what it is, which is the giant squid and Hogwarts in a whatever situation. But it doesn't really deal with being lonely. They just fuck. And then
Yeah.
that's it.
Yeah, it's just way too short, really, to come through with what it promises, and even then, it kind of misleads you from the synopsis on what you're supposed to be expecting, because that's not what it gives you. So that may be also something that kind of affects some people's
Yeah.
appreciation of it, but I mean, that may be something that some people like more, but
I do agree with you. There's nothing really overtly, like, erotic about this. It's just really just like, oh, let me be kind of vague about this so we can get, kind of our giggles in before you move on to the next sentence. I don't know. I think it's okay, and if you're interested, you'll maybe like it, maybe not.
yeah.
It's not sexy at all, to be honest.
Yeah.
No. It's just more of like, okay, this is a thing. I'm enjoying it because it's different. And, really with me, that's usually what will make me enjoy something. If it's something I haven't seen before or read in a way it's presented before. And so something weird like this, I'm cool with because it appeals to me because it's different. And I haven't read something like it before. Even if it's not so detailed.
Yeah, I mean, it is, like I said, it is technically well written, and it is different. It's good to see things being different and doing something different that hasn't been done to death a billion times, because especially in like fan fiction, and especially on this show,
Yeah.
we've seen all this shit done to death, and usually the worst stuff is the stuff that just meaninglessly retreads and doesn't do a very compelling job of it, and ends up being depressing because it's just a meaningless retread that's not very much fun. So I can definitely see how someone can have fun with this because, like I said, it is technically well written. It's something that's different, that isn't just all the same as everything else, which is
Consistent rehashing. So what are your final thoughts, my friends?
Final thoughts? I liked it. I'd share it with other people who might not care for it because, it's a squid fucking a building. But I'm pretty sure that if I shared it with enough people, I'd find somebody else who thought it was interesting. Maybe not fantastic and great, but they're like, yeah, okay, that was a thing I'll remember for the rest of my life. Next story.
My final thoughts, it's a lot better than the previous stuff we read, and it's a little less vague than the most recent story we just read.
At least we know what's happening, unlike with, like, Halos in Space, where we're just kind of like, then a gun appeared, and he's shooting aliens now, and then there's the boss alien shooting, like, punching missiles at him. on a spaceship that's talking to him, and and we're just kind of going through all this stuff at breakneck pace. But here, we can kind of, it takes its time, and you can follow along.
Yes. Would I recommend this to somebody? Only if they are feeling adventurous. But this, I didn't enjoy it because it was just, it's a squid raping a house. I mean, not a house. It's a squid.
See, you're doing it too because I keep calling it a house.
Yeah. It's a squid raping a sentient collection of buildings. I mean, honestly, that's not sexy. If I'm gonna read about sex, well, how can I put this?
Are they technically having sex though? Because it's really more like just groping.
Honestly, I'm pretty sure that's what the author had in mind, was this was supposed to be basically an equivalent of sex. But the thing of it is, I don't really think the author, I guess that's part of my problem with it. I don't think the author really had this in mind as like an actual supposed to be sexy thing. Mm-hmm. I think it was just like, oh, I'm going to do a story about a squid raping a school. It doesn't feel like they were actually trying to make this sexy in any way. And I think that's my biggest problem with it, is that I can appreciate all kinds of kinks. I know I've said this before, like I am okay with so many different kinks. I can appreciate it, and I especially appreciate it when someone who obviously has a passion for it, obviously finds it very arousing to them, can convey that feeling of arousal. But I don't feel like this particular story, I don't feel like they felt that it was arousing at all. I think they were just doing it for a lark. I just think they were doing it for a goof.
Yeah, I don't think
they weren't really trying to act sexy.
Yeah, I don't think it was really the sexiness they were going for. I think it's just they came up with a funny concept and they just wrote something because it was a funny concept.
Closing statement. Hopefully we can read in the future more stuff that is this open-minded. Even though I didn't enjoy this, I can appreciate trying something different. That's actually something that would be beneficial to readers in the future. Seeing stuff that's different.
Yeah, I mean, it was different. It was a lot better than half the other stuff that we've read. I like the fact that most of the words were spelled accurately, if not all of them. But I mean, it was interesting. I can't really think of anything else to say on it.
But I think it could be a nice sort of amuse-bouche to kind of cleanse the palate between other stuff. Since it's so adventurous, it's so different. Even though I didn't really like it, I think it's so different that, and technically well written, that you can look at it and you can kind of be like, okay, well, I'll just kind of cleanse my mental palate and we can just kind of move on to another story. I think it might be good for that. I wouldn't really recommend it to anybody because I really don't know anybody that would really get anything out of it, especially since it's not written with, like any sort of real passion for it in mind. It's not written to be arousing. It's just, I think it's just written as a joke basically, but it is at least well written. So it could serve very well to kind of give someone a bit of a, clear their head a bit and look at something that's very different and very much outside the usual and something new and potentially interesting. It could definitely inspire some interesting stuff from people that actually do have a passion for this sort of thing and could write it in probably a more compelling way.
Yes, indeed. Also, I wanted to say that the squid could use a name.
That's true.
I thought it had a name.
Yeah, it could have really used, like, in even if it had a name in the books or the extended universe of the books or whatever, it could have used a name in the story that we've just read because, like, Can
we name him Antonio after the first boss of Streets of Rage?
So, I think that's all we have to say. So I'm Caleb.
My
I'm
name
Miss
is
Jo-
Levi. Hi. Levi.
I'm here. Yeah.
And they are Levi, Harlequin, and Hushcho. And this has been Bad Fanfiction Theater. Thank you for listening, guys. Bye!
Bye.
Bye.
Have a good one.